morning children. Today we are going to start a new topic, decimals. Now what have I written on the board? I have written a fraction. Now let me write a few more. What am I writing? I am writing fractions only. Isn't it? Now, I have written 4 fractions on the board. Now, these 3 fractions, 1 over 10, 5 over 100 and 3 over 1000. Now, these fractions, these are called decimal fractions. Now, the fractions in which denominators are 10, 100, 1000 or multiples of 10, they are called decimal fractions. They are called decimal fractions. Now see, everybody look in your book. Page number 77. I want everyone to look in their book. Now see, the first picture that is made there, the first figure that is made there is of a circle. Now if you see this figure, first one. Now see, this circle is divided into 10 equal parts. So if a circle, this circle is divided into 10 equal parts, and out of 10 equal parts, see in the book, one part is shaded. So how can we represent this shaded part in fraction? This shaded part can be written as see, one part out of 10 parts are shaded, isn't it? So in fraction it can be represented as, it can be written as 1 over 10. Now 1 over 10 is a fraction. Now it can also be written in a different form. Fraction can be written in a decimal form. Decimal means point. Now see, we can write it like this, 0.1. I'll explain you how to write this later, but fractions can also be written in decimal form. So fractions which have denominators like 10, 100 and 1000 or the multiples of 10, they are called decimal fractions. Now we use decimals in our everyday life, children, isn't it? Now see, suppose when we talk about money, length of anything, any object, our weight. We do not get our weight, children. Let us talk about weight, children. When we are weighing ourselves on the weighing machine, it is not that we will get our weight in the whole number. Suppose if I weigh myself on the weighing machine, now it might be that my weight will not be in whole number. There is a possibility. So suppose I say my weight is 54 kg. Exactly 54 kg. But there is a possibility that my weight is in decimals also. My weight may be 54.5 kg. Isn't it? So children, decimals are everywhere. You use decimals everywhere. When you go to buy something, suppose you go to a mall, you will see the price tags on the items that you can purchase. So sometimes you will see that a thing is of 99.99 rupees. So you will find that there are decimals when we talk about money, when we measure the length. Suppose I say measure the length of this book. When you will measure using a ruler, again you might get the length in decimals. So fractions can also be written in decimal form because decimals are used everywhere, whether we are measuring the length, whether we are weighing ourselves or we are buying something. Everywhere we see decimals. Now see, let's come back to this. Again, this page number 77. Now look at this third figure. Now again, all the circles that are here, that are divided into 10 equal parts and different parts are shaded. Now in the third figure, see 3 parts are shaded out of 10. So how can we write this in fraction form? We can write it as 3 out of 10 parts are shaded. So in fraction it can be written as 3 over 10. So in decimal 3 over 10. 1 second children. In decimal, how can we write 3 over 10? 3 over 10 can be written in decimal form also. 0.3. 0.3. Okay. So now children, I'll explain you another thing. Now see, suppose I have a number, let me write 26.45. Okay, now a decimal, this number has a decimal point. This number has a point in between the two numbers. So it has two parts. A decimal number has two parts. This point that we put between the numbers, it is called decimal point. The number that is written before the decimal, the number that is written before the decimal is 26. It is called whole number part. It is called whole number part. And the number that is written after the decimal. What is the number that is written after the decimal? 45. So this is called, this number that is written after the decimal, it is called decimal part. Okay children, so this decimal number, we can say this decimal number, children, it has two parts. The number which is written on the left hand side of the decimal is whole number part, and the number that is written on the right hand side of this decimal point, it is called decimal part. Now everyone can open their book at page number 79. Page number 79. Now see, and you can, I will read and you can underline with me in the book. Underline with me in the book. A decimal has a whole number part and a decimal part. Like I showed you this number. You can take any number for instance. You will see that it is the number that is written on the left hand side is the whole number part, and the number that is written on the right hand side of the decimal point is called the decimal part. Children, see, underline. A decimal has a whole number part and a decimal part. You can underline in the book here. And then the decimal point. This decimal point, it separates the whole number part and it separates the decimal part. So underline in the book. The decimal point separates the whole number part and the decimal part. Like here, 0.63 is written. So this is the decimal point. This is the whole number point, whole number part, and this is the decimal part. This is the decimal part. This is whole number part. And what is this point that is put between the numbers? It is called decimal point. Okay, now so now you know that a number that is written with a decimal point is called a decimal or a decimal number. And you know a decimal number can be divided into two parts, the whole number part and the decimal part. And you know now that fractions can be written, any fraction can be written in decimal form also. And the fractions with denominator 10, 100, 1000 or multiples of 10, then they are called, these type of fractions are called decimal fractions. Now look at this number that I am writing. What is this number? 75.2. Now see, this decimal point is separating the whole number part and the decimal part. Now see how many digits are there after decimal. After decimal point, how many digits are there? There is one digit after decimal, isn't it? So it has this decimal number 75.2 has one decimal place. It has one decimal place. Why does this number 75.2 have one decimal place? Because there is one digit after decimal point. Now let's take this number 1.24. How will we read? We will not read it 1.24. The digits after decimal point are read separately. They are read separately. We do not read the number that is formed by the digits after decimal together. See, the digits that are written after the decimal point, we will read them one by one separately. So how will we read this? 1.24. Now see, how many digits are there after decimal point in this number? There are how many digits after decimal point? 2 digits. So 1.24 has how many decimal places? Since there are 2 digits after decimal, so it has 2 decimal places. It has 2 decimal places. Okay, now let me write down another number and let's see how many decimal places are there in that number. Now let's first read this number 17.0564. This is the decimal number. Now see, after this decimal point, how many digits are there? 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 digits after this decimal point. So, how many decimal places does 17.0564 have? 17.0564 has how many decimal places? It has 4 digits after decimal point. So it has 4 decimal places. Okay. So now let's quickly revise what we have done and then we will move forward. Now see, I am writing few fractions on the board. Now, there are 4 fractions given on the board. Now see, 2/5, 3/9, 4/10 and 11/100. Now, will you tell me which are decimal fractions? Now you know, fractions where the denominator is 10, 100, 1000 or multiple of 10, they are called decimal fractions. So fraction 4/10, what is the denominator? 10. 11/100, this fraction, the denominator is 100. So both of them are what? They are decimal fractions. Now fractions can also be written in decimal form. Using a decimal point, we can write the fractions. We will learn how to write fractions in decimal later. Okay, now, so you know what are decimal fractions? Now, you also know what are decimal places. You also know what are decimal places. Now, see, suppose 1.6, there is one digit after decimal. So, it has 1.6 has one decimal place. Now, 2.05, how many digits are after decimal point? There are 2 digits after decimal point. So, 2.05 has 3 decimal places, 2 decimal places. Now, if I say 2.6 Now see, 2.621. How many digits are after decimal? There are 3 digits after decimal point. So how many decimal places does it have? It has 3 decimal places. Okay. Now I will explain you the place value chart. Now see. Decimal, once again, decimal point. Ones, tens, hundred. After decimal point, the places that we have are tens, hundreds. Once again. Okay, and then thousands. I will take an example and then I'll explain you. Okay, now see. So this is the place value chart. I will take a number and explain you this place value chart. Now see, suppose the number is 742.319. Okay, now we will put this number under the place value chart. Now see, let us put 2 is before. See, we will see the number that is before the decimal point first. The number that is before the decimal point, children, when we were doing large numbers, you learned the place values of the number. Now see, forget that there is any number after decimal point. Remember, see, remember only this 742. So what is the place? In which place is 2? 2 is in ones place. 4 is in which place? Tens place. 7 is in which place? Hundred place. You know this? So ones, tens, hundred. Okay. Now 2, let us write this number under this place value chart. 2 is in which place? Ones place. So 2 we will write in ones place. 4 is in which place? Tens place. So 4 we will write in tens place. 7. 7 is in which place? 7 is in hundreds place. So we will write 7 here. Isn't it? So what is the place value of 7? Place value of 7 is 700. So 700. Place value of 4. 4 is in tens place. So place value of 4 is 40. 2 is in ones place. So what is the place value of 2? It is in ones place. So place value of 2 is 2. Okay. Now the decimal point. We put decimal point here. Now the first digit after decimal. It is in which place? Its place is tens. Its place is. Now see the spelling. T-N-T-H-S. Tens. So 3. See, tens means what? Tens means 1 over 10. Tens means 1 over 10. That one part out of 10 equal parts. Like I showed you that circle in the book. Okay, 1 over 10. Now, so 3 is in which place? The digit immediately after decimal point is in tens place. So what will be the place value of 3? What will be the place value of 3? Place value of 3 will be 3. We will multiply by the value. So 3 multiplied by 1 over 10 will give us what, children? 3 over 10. Multiply 3 times 1 is 3 over 10. So place value of 3 is 3 tens. 3 tens, how do we write? 3 over 10. Now 1. 1 is in 1 second. 1, 9. Now 1, the second digit after decimal. See, the first digit after decimal is in tens place. Now the second digit after decimal is in hundreds. 100 and THs. It is in hundreds place. Hundreds means 1 over 100. 1 over 100. So what is the place value of this digit, which is 1? 1 we will multiply by the value 1 over 100. So 1 times 1 is 1 over 100. So what is the place value of 1? 1 hundredths. 1 hundredths how to be write? 1 over 100. Now 9. The third digit after decimal. See, 1, 2, 3. The third digit after decimal point, its place is thousands. We write thousand and then THs. Thousands. Thousands is written as 1 over thousands. Thousands means 1 over thousands. So if we want to know the place value of 9, what is the place value of 9? We will multiply 9 by its value 1 over 1000. So we will get 9 times 1 is 9 over 1000. 9 over 1000. 9 over 1000 means 9 thousands. 1 over 100 means 1 hundredths. 3 over 10 means 3 tenths. Okay, so this is the place value chart. Now see, understand the difference between, now see, suppose I say 300. Suppose I say 300. 300 means what? 3 and in 100, there are how many zeros? 2 zeros. So 300 means 3 and 2 zeros. Okay, now if I write 3 hundredths. 3 hundredths. So what does it mean? Now 3 and hundredths means what? 1 over 100. So 3 hundredths means 3 over 100. So children, be very clear about these two things. 300 means 3 and 2 zeros and 3 hundredths means 3 over 100. So now, today you know what are decimal fractions. Fractions with denominator 10, 100, 1000 and so on are called decimal fractions. You know, any fraction can be written in decimal form. We will learn later in the chapter how to write a fraction in decimal form. Okay, how to convert a fraction into decimal, how to convert a decimal into fraction. We will learn to do that later in the chapter. And why do we need to do decimals? Why do we need to learn about decimals? Because we use decimals in our everyday life. Decimals are, children, they are needed to acquire more precision, because whatever we do, sometimes when we are calculating, when we are talking about money, suppose we have to pay the payment, make the payment of milk, then when we calculate, sometimes we get the amount in paisa, rupees and paisa both. So then we use decimal. Suppose I say the cost of this notebook, the cost of this notebook is 25 rupees. So 25 rupees, 25 is a whole number. But if the shopkeeper tells me the cost of this notebook is 25 rupees 50 paisa. So how will we write? Let me write this, or let me write here, children. 20. Suppose I say the cost of this notebook is 25 rupees 50 paisa. Okay, so then we use decimals, because it is not that the digits will only be in whole number. There might be digits in decimal. We might have digits also, decimal digits also. Okay, so while we take our weight, when we measure our weight on the weighing machine, you might find that our weight might not be in the whole number. There marking may be somewhere between two graduations. So our weight might also be in decimal number. Suppose 54.5 is my weight, 54.2 kg is my weight. When you measure your height, then also children, when you measure the length, suppose you measure the length of this dupatta, you will find that it is 2.2 meter and 2.5 meter. Okay, 2.5 meter. So we use decimals almost everywhere. Whenever you go to the mall, you will see the price tags. You will see many times, you will see that the price is in decimal. There is the price 99.9 rupees, 999.75. Like that, you will see the numbers in decimal. So decimals are used everywhere, and decimals are needed to acquire more precision. That is why, children, we have to learn how to use decimals, and we must know about decimals. Okay, now you also learn today about decimal fractions. Next thing you learned was decimal places. Decimal places are number. If you want to know how many decimal places are there in a number, what do? We see the number of digits after decimal, and that many decimal places are there in that decimal number. Then we learned about the place value chart. The digit which is immediately after the decimal point, its place is tenths. The second digit after decimal, its place is hundreds. The third digit after decimal, its place is thousands. So if we have, like we took this number, see, the third digit after decimal is 9. So what is its place value? Its place value is 9,000s. And how do we write 9,000s? 9 over 1,000. Okay, so children, everybody look in your book. Page number, 1 second, just a minute. Place value chart is also given in our book. I want to show you that. Okay, I'll show you later. Okay, I'm not able to find. Oh yes, here it is. Page number 64. Page number 84. Page number 84. Look at this place value chart, children. See, this is the place value chart which I drew on the board. See, this is the place value chart. You can underline place value chart, and the place value chart is given here, if you see. Okay, so put a tick against this place value chart and then underline place value chart. Okay, this we will need when we want to know the in a decimal number. If we want to know the place value of any number, this place value chart will help us. Now we will meet in our next video.